Today, we're going to be diving into some of Disney's biggest questions from ride closures to cruise insurance to how packed the parks are going to be this summer. Why does Disney keep some attractions open that feel, let's just say, outdated? We're talking Figment, Carousel of Progress, Monsters Inc., Laugh Floor, you name it. Why are they closing Rivers of America but not these other attractions? We're going to talk about what criteria we would have for closing an attraction or replacing it. Plus, is travel insurance worth it for a Disney cruise? We'll break down when it makes sense and when to skip it. We're also going to share a quick update on the $200 Disney gift card offer that you can get for free at Walt Disney World. Chip and I have done it. Then we're going to talk about Multipass and Single Pass with Lightning Lanes. How quickly do they sell out when you need to book your Multipass and Single Pass? Welcome back to the Adventures of a Disney Dad podcast. I'm Matt. I'm a Disney travel agent and Universal, Disney Cruise Line, all those things, and a dad of three. My co-host Chip, the dad of five. And we're here to help plan your smarter Disney vacation and make the most out of it. So let's get into this week's episode. Chip, before we do that, there's been a lot of rumbling about the different closures at Walt Disney World. There's a lot of people that are still trying to save Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island, which we've talked a little bit about on the show. Like, you and I we're not save Rivers of America guys.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think is the interesting conversation that's happening on social media is, why should an attraction stay open? Is the criteria how many people are visiting it or what the wait times are? Because a lot of people, seem to say, oh, nobody ever uses the Liberty Bell and nobody goes to Tom Sawyer Island. And that's not a great criteria, because if you judge the wait times of those attractions, it means, our beloved attractions like the People Mover and PhilharMagic and some of these others would easily be on the chopping block. So what is, in your opinion, the right criteria for when an attraction should stay open versus when it should, be shuttered and replaced?
I think one of the big things, like especially with the attractions, like I started thinking of Carousel of Progress just because I heard it in your opening intro. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, do I have a reason why Carousel of Progress should stay open? There's probably not a great one, but the reason is it was used at the World's Fair. It's a Walt Disney attraction. Listen, A Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow is what they're playing on the commercials, or what they did earlier this year. So I don't know really what their criteria is. I think it's just they look at the numbers and say, can we take that and make something better that's going to maybe eat more people in terms of how many people get through it? Or is it going to make it an ticket or not an ticket?
If to play devil's advocate there, Chip, like if we're using like history and nostalgia, Rivers of America was like Walt Disney's thing, right? So how do you justify, getting rid of that one and not another? And an easy example for me, and this is probably my favorite example to use, is what are we doing with Hall of Presidents?
I sat through it a couple years or a year ago when we were down there and enjoyed it from the history side of it. The reason I think, honestly, why Rivers of America got closed is they have one on the West Coast. And I think
I do think that plays a role. Like I think their ability, the guest's ability to go to a different Disney park and experience an attraction, I think has to be a factor. And I do think that that's an important one too. That ability to be able to go and see it somewhere else, it makes it so that it's a little bit easier to take, right? And but I think that we all have nostalgic attractions that we get upset about when they're taken away. Like if Disney got rid of the People Mover, I genuinely don't know that I could recover. I'm cool with them expanding it or updating it or, making changes to it. That's fine with me. Like I've got no issue with that. But getting rid of it would be like devastating to me.
You know what's funny? We talked about Tomorrowland in general.
Talk about needing an update. Like,
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's like, yeah, was that cool in the 80s, in the 90s? Yeah, it was outdated by then, though. I mean, I mean, People Mover. Yeah, it would be sweet to see what do they think it's going to look like in 50 years?
outside, this is gonna be a little rough, but I'm gonna say it. Outside of the People Mover in Tron, I don't really care about the rest of it. Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, my kids love it, but it doesn't hold a candle to Toy Story Mania. Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor is fun, but it's outdated. And now
There's
with the new Monsters Inc. area, you've got to think that it's next on the chop.
Well, and then what are they doing with the Great Escape? Stitch's Great Escape, which was the old Predator. Was it Predator? Not Predator. Alien ride.
You could also argue that Tomorrowland Speedway is just getting kind of so like that whole area could use a little bit of a zhuzh, so to speak. But you know what? I think we could all agree that like Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin and Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor are two examples of like rides that are not going to have the nostalgia heartstrings that Carousel of Progress or Rivers of America are. And I think, you know, the bigger thing that I think is frustrating for people is that there's so much land available around the parks that you arguably don't need to get rid of anything.
Correct.
But the one thing that I'm going to say, and this is going to be the only thing that I care about is using wait time data as your barometer for whether or not to close an attraction is the worst way to do it. I think that is an absolutely atrocious way. And that's what, you know, a lot of people use to justify closing Muppets Courtyard. And I think it's ridiculous. Just because there were like a lot of empty seats at Muppet 3D or there's no wait time or whatever does not mean that it's not a great attraction.
Dude, that theater is unbelievably huge.
It's unbelievably huge, and it's in a park that has a lot of shows already.
Yeah.
So I can understand why it was on the chopping block. But again, like you've got so much, you know, land and area. Like what are we doing? So
going with that, it's like we don't need e-ticket attractions. We still need the dark rides. We need like carousels. It's like those type of rides. We still need them because there are people who, well, that's what they want to ride. Like my kids, the first time we went to Disney, could have rode the carousel all day in Magic Kingdom.
And I think people forget too that like you don't need e-ticket attractions to spread people out and lower wait times on other attractions. You know, Disney has different levers that they can pull that can lower wait times in entire areas of the park, right? Like they have the ability to add more character meets that are going to spread people out. They can add more shows, which they're doing, you know, at Hollywood Studios, for example. But it doesn't always just have to be an e-ticket attraction that can move people around. And I think, you know, additional dining can do that, or revamped dining. But to me, characters are the easy one that spreads people out because, you know, they still have to wait for those things. So I don't know that. I think the upshot is I don't know that Chip and I have a good criteria, but I know what criteria is bad, right? I think that's fair.
Yeah. And I don't want to say it's the wait time, but how many people were going over there? I mean, a lot of times Tom Sawyer Island was closed for a real long time during COVID. After COVID, they didn't have a restaurant over there, or it was open 2 months of the year. So, I mean, you just
now you're going back to my point though. Like I feel like how many people went over there is a bad way to look at it.
But I'm thinking, Matt, you and I, how many times have we gone over there? You and I,
not much, but I still don't think that like I think that if you're going to argue for Tom Sawyer Island and Rivers of America specifically, I think that it's a land development area where they need something new and they need that less space because the area behind or to the right of Tiana's BioAdventure between that and Haunted Mansion is going to be villains. So I do think, in my opinion, I think they need that space more than it is like people don't go there because I'm
But
sure that is a factor though.
but you also got to think about like looking at like if you own a restaurant, if you have something on your menu that nobody's ordering, you probably need
You
to
got to get
change.
rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but
We just
again,
don't know the reason why. Like we don't know, but it.
well, and more importantly, what it just scares me because that's a be careful what you wish for. Like you could make that same statement about the people mover or things that we absolutely love. Journey into Imagination with Figment is a great example of that. Like outside of people using it as a burner attraction or the people that are obsessed with Figment, nobody's riding that ride anymore.
It
Like
needs updated. You and
it,
I've ridden it. We both said it was okay, but it used to be two or three times as long.
yeah, it needs a serious update. But that's another great example of like you have to be careful what you wish for. So, if you have a good criteria for what you think should be considered when Disney's closing or revamping an attraction, definitely let us know because I don't think that we have an easy one. And there's certainly not a way to do it without upsetting a lot of people. So, moving on to our next question. And we get this one a lot because Disney Cruise Line just made a big announcement yesterday. And they cut the Disney Cruise Line deposit in half. So it went from 20% of the cruise fare down to 10% of the cruise fare, which is a huge change. And I think it's a big part of the economy. And we're going to talk about crowds this summer at the Orlando parks, but it applies to Disney Cruise Line. Like they need to get people cruising. We've talked about the deals in August and September. They're insane. I feel like Disney is basically paying you to go on the Wish, which is only, it's only been sailing for 3 years and you can go on a 3-night sailing for like $3,000 or less. Yeah, it's crazy.
Unbelievable. Well, and during those months, it might even be cheaper with a family of 4. Maybe less than $3,000.
It is crazy. So they made that big change, but a lot of people ask, when they're booking a Disney cruise vacation, is travel insurance worth it? Which is 8% of the base cruise fare, so not the fees and everything else included. And Chip, you cruise a lot. I book a lot of cruises, and in this August and September period is a big concern because it's hurricane season. So all that said, do you buy travel insurance and or do you think it's worth it?
I think there's a time and a place. We didn't on our 7-night. And it was one of those that you and I remember the conversation. You said, because I asked you, I said, is it worth it? And you said, well, if your kids are sick, it might be something to cover. Or if you get sick right before. And I was like, and I said, well, if the kids get sick, we're still going. We'll figure it out. But it's one of those that if I'm going overseas, if I'm going to Alaska, I'm 100% getting it. If it's somewhere on the continental United States, I'm probably not going to get it.
And do you say that because of like global, like who knows what could cause a delay or a cancellation, like of your travel? Because again, if the cruise gets canceled, Disney's not, taking your money. Like if nobody can go anywhere, like that's obviously not going to happen.
Yeah, but I think the one thing was when we took our first one, it was back in 22 and it's airlines were hacked. Like the whole they shut it down and we were flying out that night, and I'm in school like freaking out. Okay, if I leave at noon, I can get to Miami, Florida. We'll be in Miami, Florida by 10 a.m. Like that was literally a thought going through my head.
I remember that because you were considering like, when do I have to leave to drive?
Yes.
Yeah.
It crossed my head of driving to Miami, Florida, and figuring out coming home. Like that was a thought, and I didn't have insurance.
And I'll tell you, like Disney will never guarantee anything, and like you obviously can't count on it. But in those really weird type of situations that apply to a lot of people, they typically do the right thing. Like usually they're going to give you at least a good credit towards a future cruise if something happens and you don't have travel insurance. But again, that's not a guarantee. You should plan on like you're technically going to lose your money. And that's the lawyer hat, on my end talking. But the biggest thing that, and I remember this conversation with Chip also, and it's the same conversation I have with every client. It's if you have a family member that you think is like fragile medically, not that has like a long-term medical issue, like if they're battling cancer, for example, God forbid, but that usually is not covered by travel insurance. Like if you have a long-term medical condition, it's usually not covered because it's something that you know going into it. It's not something that happens abruptly. But if you have like older, like several grandparents in your traveling party, and you know that grandma falls all the time, right? And you know that it's very possible that she could end up hospitalized, or you know that grandpa's, health, well, it hasn't been like a long-term issue, but like he randomly has to go to the hospital, occasionally, once or twice a year. That's where I think you should have, really consider it. Like there's a very real possibility that one of my family members gets injured a lot, or God forbid, has to go to the hospital frequently, whatever the case may be. Then you kind of raise your awareness a little bit on the travel insurance.
Well,
Um,
and with that, if there's somebody in your family who's that way in general, I would lean that way, because if they get hurt before, a couple days before, I just saying off our Facebook group, we had multiple people cancel 24 hours ahead because of something like that.
yeah, and another great example is if you and your spouse are trying to have a baby.
Yes.
That's another, like, and your spouse being pregnant is going to mean you're not going anywhere. You should absolutely consider it at that point too. But consider the timing, right? Like a lot of times you can wait a little bit long. Like if you book your cruise a year out, you can wait a little bit closer to where you start to get, like, where you get to that full refund point before you add, the travel protection. So just think about all of those different things. But there is a time and a place for it. I still have not had a single client where I've recommended travel insurance for Walt Disney World or Disney Cruise Line. Like I've said, you really need it. Usually if somebody's asking me, they probably don't need it. It's the ones that like say I need it or I want it from the get-go. They know exactly why they need it.
Yeah.
Those situations, like, I feel like they're obvious if you're in them, kind of thing. Like you know it when you see it, kind of.
And if we ever did a Mediterranean cruise, I probably am leaning that way to do it. And I would say up front, like, I know I'm going to do that. Like but other than that, if it's drivable and I can get there within a day, I'll make it happen.
That's another really good point, Chip, that like part of it has to be your risk tolerance for what you're booking. If you're booking like two adults on one of the Disney Wish sailings and you're paying like $1,800, that's a lot different than booking a concierge stateroom with, that's 30 grand.
Yeah.
So that should play a role also, is what is your risk tolerance for how much money you're potentially losing versus how much the travel insurance is going to cost you. And the same goes, like if you're booking that concierge level stateroom, that 8% is going to hit a little bit harder than, the $1,500 cruise.
If anybody's ever booking that, the concierge, like the Walt Disney suite or any
The presidential suite,
they need a +1 or 2. Matt and I are in, just for any of those listening.
So one other thing that I just realized, Chip, is that Disney is still running the $200 gift card promotion for sitting through a DVC presentation.
Huh.
So for those of you that aren't aware, Chip and I did this this time last year,
Yeah.
where you can go to, we did ours at the Riviera, but I think you can do it at other resorts. If you go to the DVC counter and you ask them about going to a DVC presentation where they tell you about how to get into DVC, you can't be a DVC member, they will give you a $200 gift card for sitting through the presentation, which takes about
Half hour.
30 minutes. And we actually enjoyed it. Like King was, she was fantastic. We've talked to her since. I actually talked to her a couple months ago, and it's basically $200 for 30 minutes of your time. It's the easiest, and they give you a gift card to your email before you even leave the Riviera. It was incredible. So
we nerded out the entire time. We were like, we got the tour of every room, and
yeah, and
it was
you get
awesome.
the 3-bedroom grand villa tours, And you can tour a different resort. Like if you want to tour Saratoga Springs or a different DVC resort, they'll do that. I would bet that they'll give a tour of the Island Tower now
I
since that's
am
available.
scheduling one tomorrow, Matt, as we're talking.
Ah,
My guide called me a couple months ago and, hey, we are coming. If you want to go see him. And I said something to Kelly the other day, and she's like, yeah, we want to go see that.
yeah. So and if you get a chance, Chip, go check out Wailulu, the bar and
I,
grill.
I'm planning
Uh,
on it. Yeah.
yeah, you don't need a reservation, but the burger there, we need to talk about it after you get done because
All right.
it's not Steakhouse 71, but it's right there. It's right
I'm,
there.
I think yeah, they've got a lot of, I like Hawaiian food, so I'm hoping it's good.
I was not a fan of the wings. Um, I just they didn't do it for me, but the burger was very 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 good. So definitely check
Okay.
that out while you're over there, and we'll look forward to hearing about that when you get back. So the next big topic that has been buzzing on social media is what are the parks going to look like this summer? What are the crowds going to look like? That's easily outside of am I going to melt in July and August in Walt Disney World. You know, it's all the question's always, is it crowded? Is it a bad time to go? What are the crowds? What are the wait times going to look like? There was an article that was posted that said that, and I looked up the data and it's pretty accurate. This first half of June is the lowest in terms of wait times Walt Disney World has been in the last decade outside of COVID and the year after, so 2020 and 2021. These are wait times that we saw, like the last time we saw wait times like this low was in 2017, which was some of the lowest wait times and prices that Disney's seen in a really, really, really long time. So we're already seeing what Chip and I have been talking about on the show for a while now, which is this summer is going to be light. We could talk about whatever the factors are, politics, economic, social, whatever. There are a number of factors, but Disneyland, Disney World, Universal, Hollywood, Universal Florida, Disney Cruise Line, all of it is getting, I won't call it crushed because I'm sure the numbers are gonna look fine in whatever quarterly briefing we hear about.
Yeah.
But the crowd and the data shows they're all hurting. And JetBlue just announced they're cutting a bunch of flights because they're not going to be profitable because people aren't traveling. So it's an industry wide thing, and I think travel agents would tell you, like myself, we're absolutely seeing it. Prices are getting slashed, crowds are down. So if you're looking to go to Walt Disney World and you are willing to bear the heat, this summer is like probably going to be the best you're going to see in a really long time. There's still value resorts for $99 a night, Chip.
I saw that. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I like so the crowds are going to be low. It's going to be hot. If you can bear with the heat, it's a great time to go on vacation. But again, like what does this say for people that are traveling? And you know what bothers me, Chip, about this is that you see a lot of locals and what I'll call Disney influencers that they kind of say, great, more for me, right? More park time for me, lower wait times for me. And I think that's a terrible way to look at it. I understand why people do because like when you go on your own vacation, you want low wait times. I can understand that. But it's bad for the industry, it's bad for the parks, and it's bad for the future of the parks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's always one year that's got to be off in general. I mean, it, right when I don't know 22, everybody was traveling. People are going to multiple times.
Revenge
Now we're
travel, right?
yeah, the revenge travel era has kind of come to an end, so we're getting back into normalcy, hopefully. Um, and I when whatever people just aren't traveling this summer. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's they're putting money in, they're investing in their house, they're doing something else, but or they're moving like me. I don't know, but I'm still going to Florida, I guess. So
Yeah, Chip, you know what it reminds me a lot of? Last year, July 4th, when the wait times were insanely low and we couldn't explain it.
I could. It's because I was there, and everybody was just trying to get autograph from me. But no, that's not the reason. No, but I don't. I just think people are getting on the train of, you know what? It's so hot in Central Florida in the summer. We're gonna go to the beach, and if we're gonna go to Disney, we're gonna go any other time other than June, or if we're gonna go in the summer, let's go in August and get the Halloween party.
I had someone message me on Instagram yesterday and they asked Blizzard Beach or Typhoon Lagoon because I refuse to melt in a theme park in August. So they are literally going to be in the area and they're going to go for one day and they're going to a water park. They're not going to one of the theme parks because they don't want to melt on the hot pavement, which I'm going to be honest with you, I can understand. I like you have to be built different to deal with that summer heat. I don't mind it, and Chip, I know you don't because you go every summer. But
Yeah.
I think that this is really interesting, and I do think it's a little different than July 4th because I think you would agree July 4th caught us off guard because the year before that it was packed.
No, 2 years before. The last 2 years.
Whatever.
I've
The
gone the last
data
2 years.
showed that
Yeah.
the data showed that it had been previously packed on July 4th. And so for it to randomly be empty, and it was empty. And then
Yeah.
July 5th, the parks were packed again. So whatever the rationale was, like people didn't go to the parks that day, there was really no explanation. With this, like I've been talking about it on this show for months now. Like we've known that it was going to be soft this summer. We knew the crowds were going to be light. And it's you can see it in the data. And like and another great example that I always look to is when I'm booking people's dining reservations or I'm booking people's multipass, everything's still available. Everything. And to me, that says a lot. That's 60 days out. You know, most people have booked their vacation by that point. So if they're not booking anything, or Space 220, Cinderella's Royal Table, like they're available whenever you want them, then the crowds are going to be low. That's a pretty easy
Hey,
example.
I got hoop-de-doo about 45 days out, which I thought that was a pretty good get.
I mean, that's another great example. But I do think end of July when that Starlight Parade pops, people are going to be back in the parks, and we always know that people are going to be back for Halloween. So it may be something that we only see huge in June, but I can tell you from my own experience, and I think across the industry, travel is still going to be way down throughout the summer. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking
Yeah.
of booking multipass, booking lightning lanes, someone asked us, what is the risk of multipass or single pass selling out? I want to be clear, like Premier Pass has sold out quite a few times. And that's the higher ticket item, just below a VIP tour. So Magic Kingdom, that can be $440 per person per day. Multipass hasn't sold out in a long time.
I was gonna say it only sells out like this major
Christmas.
holiday. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it did one other day, but I don't remember what day that was. It was maybe the first day it opened. I don't. It was something weird. But yeah, but single riders probably sells out a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, the individual lightning lane sells out pretty frequently. Like when we were down around spring break, Rise of the Resistance was gone, but usually it's not until like close to the morning of. So it's like until that day you can usually get most of them. But the one thing I will mention, and just in case this person was asking about individual rides within multipass, those sell out quickly. So like if you buy multipass for Hollywood Studios 3 days out instead of booking it at 7 days out like Disney Resort guests can, Slinky Dog Dash is usually going to be gone before you can even have a chance to book. So individual rides on multipass may quote sell out or be unavailable, but multipass itself will typically still be available. The problem is you go to like I don't know, you go to Hollywood Studios, if it's a really crowded day, you may get Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at 7 p.m., Tower of Terror at 5 p.m., and Star Tours at 3 p.m. as your rides. And, Toy Story Mania, Slinky Dog Dash are gone.
Yeah.
you're in for a rough time, because at that point, by the time you can roll around to your first ride at 11 a.m. or whatever, you scan in, everything else is sold out except the shows.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like you paid for 3 rides basically.
It is crazy. Like you're not wrong in that.
Still worth it, right,
It
Chip?
is. It is time's money.
I mean, if it's that crowded, where everything is selling out, that means you should. That's even more of a scenario where you should buy it for those 3 rides,
Yeah.
because you're probably saving yourself 3 hours. And I'll pay $20 a person to save 3 hours of my vacation. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We you're talking July 4th. We were in Magic Kingdom July 4th this past year, or 2024, and we did a lot of rides. I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember what our total was, but it wasn't crowded enough to where we were waiting in line. We were just going from one ride to the next, to the next, to the next. So,
All right. That's going to wrap it up for Chip and I this week. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Adventures of a Disney Dad podcast. We hope that this Q&A with the listener question episodes like gives you some fresh perspective. We try and give honest answers and be as straightforward as we can. So we hope it helps you plan your next Walt Disney World vacation. If you're enjoying the show, if you could hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode, we would greatly appreciate it. If you're feeling extra generous, you can throw a quick review on Apple or Spotify. It helps other people discover the show. And as always, if you're planning a Disney or Universal trip, don't forget all of my services are completely free through the Magic for Less Travel. So if you want me to help you book your resort, your dining reservations, your lightning lanes, I've got you. So just head to the link in the show notes to get a quote, and we'll get you taken care of. There's also a bunch of free tools, guides, all that stuff on our website. Check that out too. We really appreciate it. But in the meantime, we'll see you in the parks.